Hello everyone and welcome. My name is John Preston Smith and I'm the author of the soon-to-be released book entitled The Bog, The Legend of Man's Best Friend. I've trained and handled more than 14,000 dogs over the last 50 years, and I'm here to talk with you about the training, behavior, and spirituality of our canine friend. This is number 5 in the series, and today's talk is entitled The Dog's Greatest Secret. How do dogs find their way from point A to point B? Let's start with the basics. The simplest orientation strategy for animals is known as taxon navigation. It barely seems like navigation. Taxon navigation is the ability to directly sense the place where you want to be. Birds, perhaps the most famed animal navigators, can detect the magnetic field of the earth. So when a goose is migrating north for the summer, one of the strategies is to sense the planet's magnetic north and go toward that. And of course there is memory, which means the animal has to remember something about the place where it wants to go. Then there is a sense of direction, which is used by humans, whereby you relate one location to another, and another, and another, until you find the doorstep of where you want to go. And there is visualization location, which is asking for directions. Well, you go down here 2 blocks, you take a left at the marathon station, drive 1 mile, and it'll be right there on your left. So you get this mental picture, so to speak, of where you want to go. So how do dogs find the bad guys and the drugs and the bombs? How do they find children lost in the forest, adults with dementia who wander away from home, or a beating heart under the rubble of a collapsed building? How do they detect various cancers in the human body? How do they use their nose to survive? How do they detect bitches in heat? How do they know which rawhide was touched by which dog in the litter? In the darkness of night, how do they know the scent of their master as opposed to every other member of the family? And most striking, how do they find their way home? For all of this, they are navigated by scent. In 99% of the cases, finding people, places, and things is all about the dog's olfactory system, that grouping of sensory cells of the nasal cavity. That process is way too scientific for me to explain or even understand. It's all about the molecules of odor and receptors, and the glomerulus and the olfactory bulb and the detection of pheromones and chemicals that activate the system, and the odorants and non-volatile proteins and non-volatile hydrocarbons and the minute concentrations of carbon dioxide. All that succinctly explains how dogs find people, places, and things. In fact, on what you read or hear, a dog's sense of smell is anywhere from 1,000 to 40,000 times stronger than that of humans. I've often said you can take 1,000 parts of water and 1 part of urine in 1 jug, and 1,000 parts of urine and 1,000 parts of water and a different urine in a second jug, and a dog will know the difference between the two. He'll know if one urine came from a bitch in heat or a hobo just passing through the neighborhood, while you and I would not even know there's any urine in the jug, and we'd go ahead and drink it. So does all of this tell us how a dog finds his way home? In most cases, yes. But you've heard the stories, or maybe you have one of your own. Your dog wanders away from home. You post a picture on posts around the city, you post your cell phone number, you call the newspaper, the Humane Society, and tell everyone that you've lost your dog. You get no responses. And then maybe 2 months later he shows up on your doorstep, weather-beaten and bedraggled, and you wonder how he did it. Or you go on a camping trip 100 miles from home. Everyone in the family thought that Fido was put in the car by someone else. When you get home and realize that he's not in the car, you turn around and return to the camp site, but Fido has left the building. You comb the woods, but to no avail. And then 2 months later, he shows up on your doorstep, weather-beaten and bedraggled, and you wonder how he did it. The story of lost and found dogs, by that I mean they found you, is truly incredible. Mostly, though, it has to do with this incredible sense of smell. But let's consider a different scenario. Let's say you are walking the dog some evening, and your plane, by the way, is soon going to leave for Seattle, which is 500 miles away. The moving van has already left with all of your property, and it's time to get in the rented car and leave for the airport. Your dog bolts after a rabbit. Your wife is yelling about missing the plane. The kids are wailing about finding the dog. But you decide to go ahead and leave for Seattle after asking your neighbor to find, board, and feed Buster until you get back in the spring. 4 months later, Buster scratches at your door in Seattle, weather-beaten and bedraggled, and you wonder how he did it. How about the dog that you purchased that is sent to you by airplane 300 miles north of his birthplace? And then on a stormy night, he barks like you have taught him to for the call of Mother Nature. So you let him outside, and he never comes back. And then 30 days later, he shows up at the home where he was whelped and where one of his litter mates still lives. He is weather-beaten and bedraggled, and everyone wonders how he did it. By the way, that dog had never left the basement before leaving the airport to come to your home. In your wildest dreams, try to explain what happened in those two situations, in which neither situation is unheard of or uncommon in the canine kingdom. Taxon navigation does not qualify in this situation, which is the ability to sense where you want to be, not where you are. But to sense where you want to be, there has to be a picture of your goal. And in this case, no such picture existed for either dog. How about detecting the magnetic field of the earth like geese that migrate north for the summer? But even if dogs can detect the earth's magnetic north, in one of the cases presented, the destination was west and in the other it was south. The earth's magnetic field did not apply in these situations. How about memory navigation? Does that apply? No. One dog had never visited his new home and the other had never seen where he was whelped. How about the navigation of the sense of direction used by humans to relate one location in relationship to another location? Again, remember, in one instance the dog was left behind, and in another the dog flew to a new location. Visualization location is asking for directions of where you want to go, but dogs don't ask questions. So how did one dog find his way to Seattle while the other found his way to where he had been whelped? We'll never know, because it's their greatest secret. The scientific research world will never discover the answer of how dogs can find their way to a place where there's no reason that they should ever be able to find it. It is their greatest secret. The next time we get together, I'm going to tell you about the first step in dog training, the first step in correcting dog behavior, and the step that is in most cases totally ignored in all the books on dog training. So until then, remember, everyone should have a dog, and every dog should have someone. Take good care.